This pastor gives us a wake-up call, speaking to the church, and the world should listen to what the Bible has to say about Middle Eastern conflict. Go ahead and check this out.
Warring on Israel, but they're warring from other nations. These would include Hamas, which I preached about in the past. It's an Arabic word that means zeal. It's also a Hebrew word in the Old Testament that means demonic violence. So what they would consider zeal for their God is actually demonic violence because their God is a demon named Allah. In addition to Hamas, there is another group you're hearing about in the news called Hezbollah. Hezbollah means the party of God. They're not. They're the party of the false God. And then the third group, and you're hearing about them more recently, is the Houthis. Their name literally means the defenders of God, or the warriors of God, or the hammer of God. All demonic, all spiritual, all counterfeit. Anyone who is hearing the news and doesn't understand that for these people, this is a profound spiritual war, does not understand what is happening. And I'll show you now with a prophetic timeline how the last days culminate in some epochal events that have been impossible in human history up until today. I'll show you. My big idea is the day of the Lord. That's the theme of Joel. We've not left Joel. Is triggered by war in Israel. So let me catch you up to the news. 2000 BC, 4,000 years ago, God called Abraham to leave his family to receive the promised land of Israel. Roughly 30 AD, around that time, Jesus Christ lives, dies, and rises in what nation? Israel, and he's Jewish. 138 onward, Israel did not exist as a nation, and Jews were scattered. 1933 to 1945, Hitler's Holocaust sought to eliminate the Jews, and they scattered even more. May 14th, 1948, Israel became a nation for the first time in over 1,800 years. The day of the Lord is preceded by war in Israel. For 1,800 years, there's no Israel. Imagine a nation ceasing to exist for 1,800 years, and then they're back. That may be a prophetic sign that the end is near. 1993, the Israeli-Palestinian two-state solution begins. And the answer is, well, let's give the Arabs, the Muslims a portion, let's give the Jews a portion. I'm sure they'll be good neighbors, and this will solve this problem. And now Israel is roughly the same size and population of New Jersey. So think of how they dominate the headlines in the scriptures and human history. It's the size and population of New Jersey. In 2005, President Bush pressures Israel into, quote, a land for peace deal in Gaza with the Palestinians. Okay, what he's saying is this. The Arabs, who are Muslims, get that land. The Jews get this land. Immediately, what do the Palestinians do? They vote for a permanent government called Hamas, which is a demonic terrorist jihadist organization. May 14th, 2018, Jerusalem is recognized as Israel's capital for the first time in 2,500 years, back to the Old Testament prophecies in the book of Daniel. September 2023, $6 billion is released to Iran in exchange for 5 American hostages. The money is used to fund Iranian terrorist proxies of Hezbollah in the north, Lebanon, the Houthis by the southern Red Sea in Yemen, and Hamas in the west. So if you look at the map, these are the proxies from Iran that are now attacking Israel. Hezbollah in the north, Hezbollah is in the north, the Houthis are in the south, and then you've got Hamas to the side, to the west. True or false? That's exactly where we find ourselves today. It continues. Let me bring you up to the present. October 7, 2023, Hamas invades Israel, triggering the first Israeli war in 50 years. Israel didn't exist as a nation for 1,800 years. And they have not had war for 50 years. What precedes the day of the Lord? War in Israel. This week. This week, Israel killed the top commanders of Hamas and Hezbollah. The top commander of Hamas was executed in Iran there to celebrate the installation of a new government, and they assassinated him. That is some kosher gangster right there. Kosher gangster. And so in response, guess what happened? The last 24, 48 hours, Iran and Turkey are promising what? Full war on Israel. That's where we are. Let me get back to it in a moment. And here's how stupid everyone is. You know what's in the news? Did a candidate talk about cat ladies? It's like, hey, is Armageddon coming? That to me is a bigger issue. It's a bigger issue. Do we need to go get more toilet paper like a few years ago? Like, are we there? It's so stupid. The day of the Lord will be preceded by the Gog and Magog war led by Russia, Iran, and Turkey. This is Old Testament prophecy in Ezekiel 38 and 39, where the nations surrounding Israel will seek to destroy her, triggering Jesus' second coming at the Battle of Armageddon. Let me summarize this real quick. We're going to go deep into the pool, nerd. You go to Ezekiel 38, 39. It gives the names of some ancient nations that surrounded Israel, and it says, at the end, before the day of the Lord, they're all going to come together. They're going to declare war on Israel, and if you take those ancient nations and you overlay them with a modern map, they're called Russia and Turkey and Iran. So if Turkey or Iran declares war on Israel, I'm just telling you this, what is likely to happen is Russia and China will follow. Do you know what we call that? Armageddon.
This made me think about the parable of the 10 virgins who are waiting for the bridegroom, and in this parable, the bridegroom represents Jesus Christ and his coming back. In verse 6 of Matthew 25, it says, "At midnight the cry rang out, 'Here's the bridegroom, come out to meet him.' Then all the virgins woke up and trimmed their lamps. The foolish ones said to the wise, 'Give us some of your oil. Our lamps are going out.' 'No,' they replied, 'there may not be enough for both of us and you. Instead, go to those who sell oil and buy some for yourselves.' But while they were on their way to buy the oil, the bridegroom arrived. The virgins who were ready went in with him to the wedding banquet, and the door was shut. Later the others also came. 'Lord, Lord,' they said, 'open the door for us.' But he replied, 'Truly I tell you, I don't know you. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know the day or the hour." We need to make sure that we are keeping watch and that we are prepared for the coming of Jesus Christ. This can be a wake-up call to our nation. And like this pastor says, he doesn't know if it is the actual end time of Jesus' return, as no man knows, but it's important to pay attention to the signs, and no matter what, be ready and prepared for the coming of Jesus Christ. Today is the day of salvation.